Hey guys, so as you know, at the moment I'm releasing a couple of sample videos from my Ableton lessons at beginnerabletonlessons.com. In this week's video, I'm sharing with you a lesson from my mixing and mastering course, and it's all about A-Bing your tracks. So there's some really awesome tips in this video, and I know you guys are going to like it. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so I wanted to talk to you now about something called A-Bing, okay? So just to kind of explain to you what this is, if I was to take song A, which is one track, a bit like DJing, song A, track B, and then compare them, you go listen to track A, listen to track B. It's called A-Bing. It's kind of like a way of testing what you're doing compared to something else. That may be obvious to some of you, but maybe not some others of you, so I wanted to just kind of explain that in detail. Now, this is incredibly important when it comes to the whole mixing and mastering process, okay? I heard a quote once, which I've never forgotten. It was, good artists borrow, great artists steal. And when it comes to mixing and mastering, listening to other people's songs is going to be your best friend when it comes to making your mix sound better and better. Something I kind of said in a previous video from now is I always think it's important to make sure you finish every song you start. And if you're watching this now, you probably agree because you're watching my mixing and mastering series. I would say it's important to mix and master every single song you do, even if you're not particularly happy with the song. Because you want to get better at everything at the same time. You want to get better at writing melodies, writing chords, making your drops bigger, making your build-ups bigger, making your intros good, your outros good. You want to get better at mixing everything and making sure everything's EQ'd really well and sounds great together. Mastering you want to get good at, and you want to get good at it all at the same time. The only way you're going to get good at everything equally is by doing everything equally. So you don't want to get into a rut of coming up with an idea, a couple of melodies, a couple of chords, start something new. A couple of melodies, a couple of chords, start something new. Because what you'll end up becoming is really good at coming up with ideas, and you won't be very good at mixing and mastering your song. Now, with that said, the thing that's going to make you better at mixing and mastering is just doing lots of it, getting better at stuff and training your ears. Now, the other snag to this is you could sit there and mix a song perfectly to what you think sounds good to you. And if you're anything like me, you'll then go and listen to another song and go, oh God, this other song sounds so much better than my song. This is so frustrating. To me, that mix was perfect. And now I'm listening to this other song. I'm like, I could have done it so much better. It's happened to me so many times, especially when I started. I'd sit there, get the mix perfect, I'd do some mastering, I'd export it, and then I'd put it on my phone or something, and I'd listen to it, and the next song would come on, I'd be like, oh my God, my song just sounded so amateur compared to somebody else's. And what I've learned to start doing is A-Bing at every step of the way. And all these different sections I've broken my course down into: kicks, percussions, clap, bass, synths, vocals. You will get good at being able to hear these sections of other songs. So you'll be able to listen to your song, then listen to somebody else's song and go, ah, their kick is way louder than mine, way more present and way more punchy. I now know I need to go and affect something in my music file to make it sound the same. Then you'll go back and you go, oh, their vocals sound louder or cleaner, or their vocals have got more reverb, and I want to mimic that. I want to steal the way they've done that. So you can go back to your file and you can change it. And if you do this at every step of the way, before you know it, you'll become very, very good. You'll almost get to the point where you won't need to A-B it, because you'll be like, I know what sounds good here because I've listened to so many other professional songs that I know what would sound good here is a punchier drum or more reverb on my vocals. So it's important to A-B at every step of the way, not just in the mastering process, in the mixing process as well. So there's two ways I know how to do this. The one you can do is you could create an extra lane at the bottom of your file here. So just create a new audio track, and you could call this the pre-master, okay? And you could send all of your lanes into this lane before this lane goes to the master. Because at the moment, I've just got everything going to my master lane, but you could have all your files routed into the pre-master here, so that this lane here now is basically doing the same thing as this lane down here. So you could add effects and stuff onto this being your new master lane. And the benefits of doing this is you can then have a second lane with a song you want to A-B again. So you could go, let's just rename this A-B test. Okay, and you could load a song onto that track then, and what you can do is you can listen to your song by soloing it, and then you can listen to an A-B test, and you can flick back and forth between the two, so you can test out which one sounds better, and you can kind of listen to your drums, flick to the other one, have a listen to their drums, flick back, get better at training your ears so you can pick out these details and make the change. Okay guys, so a little tip I wanted to give you guys when it comes to A-Bing stuff would be this. Say this was your pre-master and everything was going through this, including your mastering plugins potentially, and you've got your A-B test down here. The way you'd be able to quickly flick back and forth between them is this. You'd put them into a group like this, and then you come up to here and click key, and you'd come to this activation kind of button here, which is this yellow thing with the number in. You click in it and click any number you want, like the number 3 for example. Click in this one and click that as the number 3 as well, okay? Then take it off. So when I click 3 now, they both turn on or off. So when it comes to A-Bing your track as you go through, you could solo this track like this, and you could unhighlight one of them, and then you can be listening to your song and you just click the number 3, which will activate one and deactivate the other, so you can listen to it and just flick back and forth and A-B, so you can just focus in on the drums, flick back and forth and go, okay, their drums are punchier, their drums are deeper, whatever you need to do. So that's one way you could do A-Bing, is using this method here. However guys, I don't do it that way. I use a different plugin. Now I also wanted to put a little disclaimer here, which is in this mixing and mastering course, I sometimes use plugins that I've bought, but I'm going to make sure every step of the way in this mixing and mastering course I show you how you would do it with Ableton plugins, and if I ever use an external plugin I'll give you a good reason why I'm using it, because what I don't want to do is create a course where I'm just telling you guys to go out and spend thousands of pounds on other people's plugins. I want to teach you how to do everything just within the box of Ableton, and I'll also show you the other plugins I use as well. However, this plugin I would highly recommend you buy. It's called Magic AB, and it basically does exactly what we just did there. So if you wanted to do it for free, that's how you do it within Ableton, but I don't do that. I use Magic AB. So I'll drag this down directly into my master chain down here. And it looks like this. You can get it from this like here, Sample Magic, and it does cost 50 quid, but it's really, really worth it. It's just so perfect for doing loads of stuff. So this is how it works. You've got your A-B, your A is you, the B is the secondary song you're listening to. And say I've got my track and I'm like, I would love my track to sound like a Jack U track. What you do is you can just click load a sound, and you can go and just grab a you could just go and grab a track that you like. So this is actually the Marshmallow remix, but if you open it up, what you've now got is, if you press play, you've got your track playing on A, and if you click B, you've got your B track, and you can load in as many tracks as you want. So you have like 9 different tracks here, and all you've got to do is press play on the one you want it to be, or activate it here by pressing it on, and then you can just flick back and forth through them and A-B them against several different tracks. So for example, now if I was A-Bing the drop of my song, well, I'd want to A-B it against the drop of this song. So what you do is you click 1, you bring it across to where the drop is. Let's have a listen. So put it on B. Okay, so we got to the drop of this song here. I'm going to put loop on, I'm going to bring it all the way back so it's just around the main section of the drop here. And I'm also going to bring down the volume. Remember what I was saying to you guys about mastering? It makes the song so much louder. So if you A-B yours against the mastered song, you're going to be like, well, it's just 10 times louder. But in the mixing stage, we're not going to worry about how loud these other tracks are. We're just going to worry about how much their instruments stand out in the mix. Something just to compare our track to, so you can bring the volume right down. And you want to make sure you're A-Bing against a track that's the same volume. Something I mentioned tons in my intermediate course, and something I'm going to be mentioning a lot in the mixing and mastering course, is any sound that's louder is always going to sound better. So whenever you add any sounds to anything in your mixes, and this just goes for everything, you want to make sure you match the volume, because if you just put a plug-in on and it's just slightly louder, you're going to think it sounds better. So, and that goes for A-Bing as well. You don't want to get demoralized because this other track sounds louder. You just want to bring down the volume so they're about right. So you can just A-B volume levels like this. Bring it down a bit lower. You've got these visual representations here with these different lines, so you can kind of see which one's loud and you can match them. Now bear in mind, the tracks you are comparing them against are mastered, so they probably are going to sound a little bit more compressed, but it doesn't matter. You want to have it there so you can just bounce back and forth and compare your track as you go through. So I'm going to wrap up that video there, guys. This is a really interesting plugin. I would highly recommend using it. However, you don't have to. You can use that other approach which I told you about a second ago, but it's really good. And I'm going to be using this throughout my mixing course, and I'm going to be using this heavily in the mastering section of this course as well, to be able to flick back and forth and compare what we are doing compared to the professionals' work. So there we go. There's a little top tip for you. So there we go, guys. There's some really awesome tips there for you. If you're interested in seeing the rest of these lessons, make sure you go and check out beginnerabletonlessons.com, where you can download the rest of the course. If you like this week's video, make sure you comment, like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos exactly like this. See you guys next week. Ciao.